Chief Drake began his police service in the patrol division before being assigned to vice divisions in narcotics unit to investigate mid to upper level drug traffickers from the narcotics unit, and with a passion to mentor youth. John transferred to the Police Athletic League, where he began a basketball program for children. That program grew from 100 participants in the first year to more than 1,300 participants in less than 5 years. And it's still going today, and you know it as Vinnie Leagues. So John was responsible for that. And he also started the junior golf program, which was called the First Tee Initiative. In June 2020, John was appointed to Deputy Chief over the Community Services Bureau, which includes the department's 8 precincts, before being appointed interim chief of the police force. He was named as the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department's 8th Chief of Police on November 30, 2020, and he holds a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from the College of Public Service at Bethel University. So, with that, and without further ado, welcome John to the stage.
Good morning, fellow Rotarians, and thank you for having me here. I'm a member of the Downtown Rotary. I don't know if anyone knew that or not, Downtown Nashville, but have been for several years. I'm a native Nashvilleian. I grew up on the east side of town. Grew up kind of in a bad neighborhood, and my passion for kids, as Mr. Pruitt was saying, grew from how I grew up in East Nashville. I went to school with 3 other kids that wound up going to prison. They went for various crimes, and the only thing that kept me from getting in trouble, because everything around my environment looked the same. And so I had coaches and teachers and different people that looked at me in a certain way. They mentored me. They kept me from getting in trouble. They were like parents to me. And so as I went on, I kept ascending and doing different things, and the others didn't have that. And so I was doing undercover narcotics, and I befriended an individual that I was eventually gonna have to arrest. And as you go through these undercover things, you get to know people, and you know the end result is what you're gonna have to do, but I did not want to arrest this person. And when we did, we arrested him around his kid. And I felt so horrible, I didn't want to do that work anymore. I wanted to work with kids, and I started working in a police athletic league. And from that, it grew from 100 kids to 1,300 kids in a basketball program that, still, I look at people today, and they're professional athletes. They play professional football. They played in the NBA, they played overseas. They're principals, doctors, dentists, lawyers, etc. And so just giving them the opportunity to see hope, I thought was the best opportunity for me to serve my community. I've been on the police department for 37 years, started in 1988, and just celebrated my 37th year, March 16th of 88. And so if I don't need the mic, I'll just go in to the presentation. For years on the police department, we were driven by operating orders, general orders, standard operating procedures, SOPs, etc., and mission statements. We never really had core driving pillars. And so as I took over as police chief, I wanted to make sure that we had 3 core pillars to guide our men and women in what they do each and every day. And the first is organizational excellence. And we wanted our people to come in from day one, learning how to be a good police officer, training, being prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice that they need to, but also be caring and continuing to want to learn and serve our community. Every step of the way, our men and women get training. So if you become an officer, you train, become a sergeant, you train, lieutenant. We want everyone to be successful. Even in the role as chief, we have training for us as well. Community engagement was huge for me, so we could get to know people and people could get to know us. At the height of 2020 is when we had all the national incidents that were going on. We had Minneapolis with George Floyd, we had Louisville with Breonna Taylor, we had other things going on. We had COVID, the pandemic was raging. We had civil unrest, we had a tornado that had just ripped through the city. And people, there was a lot of concern, there was a lot of anger, there was a lot of distrust. And the best way for me, in my opinion, to get to know people is to engage, is to get to know people and let them get to know us. And first and foremost, I wanted people to see us beyond the uniform, that we are good people, that we care, that we have families, that we love, we laugh, and we hurt just like everyone else, but we care. We also want our men and women to know that you all care and that we care about you and that you're not objects of some type of business transaction. We are here to serve you and are committed to our community. And then precision policing, when I first took over, they thought we over-policed the neighborhoods. They thought we went in and did more traffic stops than normal, all these different things. And so we put together a do no harm approach. We identify the person creating the most harm, and then we do something with them, realizing that we can't arrest our way out of it. And so we try to find alternative methods to deal with certain individuals. We have the Partners in Care program, which is a mental health co-response. It's one of the things that we started, from day one. That I didn't want people going to jail for having a bad day, a person that's in crisis. And so since that time, somewhere around 25,000 calls and less than 4% has resulted in arrests. Others have been diverted to medical care and get the help that they need. We all have bad days, and you shouldn't be in trouble because of that. This picture here is really a point of organizational excellence. This is at the training academy. I went through this. They're lucky in their days. When I first started, the first days of the police academy, we wore our suit and tie. And back in those days, I didn't have a lot of money. I had one suit and one tie, and I had to do push-ups and sit-ups and everything right in that little area there. But each and every morning they gather in formation and learn how to become a police officer and how to go out and serve the community. Community engagement is huge for us. We have 8 precincts within our police department that covers 530 square miles. We have a 9th precinct that's going to open the fall of this year, and that's going to really help the southern part of town. You have Hermitage and South precincts, which are 2 of our largest precincts, and putting the Southeast precinct in the middle of divvy those up into thirds, and that should help with response times, should help with extra patrols, it should help with police presence, and it should actually drive crime down even more. In these pictures, you'll see where our officers are engaging with kids. We have celebrities that come out. That's Keith Urban that came out. We have Dolly Parton that does things too. Of course, Garth Brooks is really involved with the police department as well, Lady A, and just meeting kids. This is over in Andrew Jackson FOP Lodge. And it's important for me to get to know these kids because they bring them out of neighborhoods where they're challenged. And as they were lining up to take a picture with me, there was one little kid that popped down beside me. There was one kid that wanted to sit by me too, and immediately this kid balled his fist up. And that's what he knew. He knew he was ready to fight. And I just scooted over, and so they both could sit by me and just kind of neutralize it, showing there's a better way than fighting. But getting to know these kids, getting them out to the camp, feeding them. In Nashville, with all the prosperity we have here, there's some kids that, they don't know what their next meal is coming from. And Dr. Battle will tell you that before they cancel school on a snow day, they try to make sure kids have a meal that's taken into consideration. So you wonder what happens on the weekends to some of these kids, and so that's why we're, tremendously involved with helping kids. Precision policing, we've started all kind of programs. It's been very successful for our city. We had a drug bust, it's about 800 pounds of meth and cocaine as a group out of California and connected to the Sonora cartel. These are weapons. All of these are individual cases and just some of the weapons that we take off the street. Our gun unit over at the crime lab is just identifying those that are creating the harm and then doing something with them. We started what we call the Titans team, the investigative team to address neighborhood shootings. And from that, we've taken some of the most violent people off the street with very little incident. We've had an officer recently that got shot that he's okay, recovering. We had another officer that was shot at as they were getting ready to take an individual down. What we're seeing now is people taking Glock weapons similar to what I have and putting a switch on it, Glock switch. It makes it fully automatic. And so where it may take me 8 seconds to get rounds off, they can pull it in 2 seconds and and so it's really hard to deal with that. And we're seeing more of that come onto the street and high-powered weapons. I'm not anti-weapon. I know there's a lot of debate about that on both sides of the spectrum. It's political, but I believe in responsible gun ownership, and I think that it's too easy to buy a gun. When you go in a gun store, you can walk out 15 minutes later with a gun. You don't have to even train. I think anyone that has one should go through some type of training to know how to use it, how you can hurt someone. We have not a lot, but some accidents where people just don't know how to operate a weapon, and just for at least that's important. So you hear on the news and you see some of the crime that's ongoing, and you think, wow, it's dangerous in Nashville. I'm scared to go out. I'm scared I'm going to get robbed. I'm scared I'm going to get shot, or something's going to happen. But for the last 3 years, we've gone down in crime and continue. We finished our year in the green overall, all categories: property crime, violent crime, and overall crime was down. And this is where we're sitting at after another good year. Non-fatal gunshot injuries, right now we're at 39.5% reduction. And what we did is we took detectives that were working on cases that had a low solvability rate. I had a package delivered by Amazon. It's gone. I don't have any video. I don't have any suspect information. More than likely, it's going to be hard to find that person. It's just really hard to solve that. But putting some of these detectives working on non-fatal gunshot injuries, then we can focus on the people that are shooting, but then the ones that are being shot as well. And a common theory in law enforcement is today's victim is tomorrow's shooter. And so if we can identify the victim, who we have, and we can do some type of intervention with them, then we can see retaliatory gun incidents go down, and then we can hold the people that's committing the crime more accountable. Residential burglaries decrease. That's really good for us. What is not on there is our commercial robberies are up by 4 incidents, and we've arrested 3 serial robbery suspects, and so we should see that number going green here relatively soon. Another number of homicides, we're at a 25% decrease over just some good work being done. But to talk about this a little bit, I had one homicide detective put it in a way I hadn't thought about it. He's viewed it as friends killing friends. The likelihood of you all being the victim of a homicide is very low. And so if you take out drugs, gangs, illicit activity, and domestic violence, it would be probably at about a 90% decrease when you take some of that away. And what you see is on the news media, you'll see where 2 individuals met in a parking lot, or they met somewhere at 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. Now it's broad daylight sometimes. Carjacking incidents are you're not really gonna see that a lot here, but they're looking for certain cars. They like Dodge Challengers, Dodge Chargers, etc. I wouldn't have one, because I just wouldn't want to deal with all that. Auto thefts is something that we made a big dent in. In 2023, and across the nation, auto thefts they spiked severely. And here in Nashville, we were 131% in the red. It was a record year for cars being stolen. In 2024, in February, we were 130% in the red on top of a record year. And so we put together a program, and I'll talk about that on one of the slides, but it created a huge decrease. So now we see a 12% decrease overall in auto thefts, which is really phenomenal compared to what we were looking at. And then aggravated assaults, which is good in itself. Our police department, I like us, of course, to be proactive as well as answer calls for service. I feel that if we're a totally reactive police department, then we're not an effective police department, because all we're doing is responding to calls, taking reports, and then passing them on for a detective to investigate it. And so dispatch, we've had 55,000 calls. but self-initiated extra patrols, going into neighborhoods where we're having burglaries, where we're having robberies, where we're having thefts, where we're having different things going on. Officers knowing those communities and self-initiating themselves is almost 50% of calls that have been dispatched. And it's really quite amazing the investment that the men and women are making. And sometimes they don't get the credit for that, but they are doing some really, really, really great work out there. So I talked about stolen motor vehicles and how we drove it down. We started this operation called Operation 1072. 1072 is the 10 code for a stolen car. And so, like the officers dispatched, it would say car 54, 1072 at 54 Morrow Lane, or whatever it is. So you know it's a stolen car on Morrow Lane. Those were up so significantly, we put together this program, and it resulted in 1,200 arrests, 288 firearms, and 669 vehicles recovered. Pretty amazing in a year's worth of work. But that's why I push so hard for license plate readers, which is why I'll talk about a little bit later. But what these people are using now, they're using programmers to be able to program cars, to be able to program key fobs, and putting different things to try to disguise, to start cars. And then they had the Kia TikTok video, Kia and Hyundai, and went viral to show how you can break into a steering column, hook up a USB port, and take a car in 30 seconds. These license plates are just fake or stolen license plates where they just put them on different cars, and we have a lot of that. Paper tags sometimes indicate to us that the vehicle is stolen and that they're trying to avoid license plate readers. We don't have license plate readers here. That's something that I've been pushing for quite some time. When I first took over, I had a vision to embrace technology. One was to have license plate readers to identify people that were involved in crime, stolen vehicles, robberies, murders, etc. And then having fuses for video integration. If you own a business and you want to give us real-time capability in the parking lot, say if someone shoots someone robs someone, or whatever, then our real-time crime center can pull that up in an instant and see that crime that's going on and to be able to hopefully make that case. What we have right now, we don't have that capability. So if there's a robbery at a store and there's a serial robber, we have to wait till that manager, that sometimes they tell us that manager won't be back for 4 or 5 days. So we can't get the video. Sometimes we'll have a shooting incident and we have to wait till the next day or whatever to find out what's going on. And to be able to get that instantly to help us be better as a police department. But then also having drones as a first response. I wanted to have drone docking stations situated throughout Nashville. And so if crimes occur, a drone could be dispatched and over the crime scene within a minute and a half of a situation that's going on. And so you're going to hear some debates in council. I know Jim Shulman was great for us. I told him I hate to see him go, but we keep pushing for these things. And and I'll talk more about some of the debate on that. One of the initiatives we put together to drive down crime has been really phenomenal here in the last couple of months. It was the D as in David detail. We started it in February where we repurposed community engagement officers and put them on a shift where crime was occurring the most in between the time span. So we look at data, and the data may say between 5 p.m. and 12 p.m. or 12 midnight or 1 a.m. is when these crimes are most occurring. And these crimes are occurring in this area. Well, we can put these officers in those areas, and it's resulted in dramatic drops in our crime. And that's why we have so many green categories. But what's been really good, response times are down an average of 12.8 minutes. That's huge for what we're accomplishing. One of my pet peeves had always been, we were so busy as a police department that sometimes you'd have a call for service, but they'd be tied up on a domestic or tied up on a robbery or a homicide, and then you'd wait several hours for a car to come service you, and that just always bothered me. So putting this together has been huge, and you can see even though they're working tough hours and in some of the toughest situations, they're still smiling because they enjoy serving the Nashville community. Our staffing, continues to grow. As I took over as police chief, we were about 220 officers short. For the first time in a long time, we're under 100. We're at 85. We just had a class that graduated, and you may see that number grow a little bit after council gives us 61 new FTEs, which means it'll give 61 positions, so that may go up a little bit. But we expect to be fully staffed at the police department by the end of this year, hopefully by spring of next year. Again, officers engaging in the community. We see a lot of this happening now. I have a picture in my hallway of a young man, his name's Quincy. I never met him, but he had told his teacher he wanted to be the next police chief. And they sent that to me, and his picture, and I was honored. And so that's up in the hallway. But you see more and more people wanting to do the profession now. We're seeing that the energy come from that. Again, we just graduated 34 new officers. We have 17 who graduate in July, and with more classes to graduate this year. You can see the pride on their faces. The moms and dads get the pin, the badges on the new officers. We also have Family Day, where the moms and wives and brothers and everyone come to visit and get to hear what we do as a police department. But what's significant about pinning, it's really the special person that you want dependent on you, like someone that mentored them. You see the officer putting the badge on this officer, or a wife, or a mom that's doing it. There was a young man that actually grew up in a police athletic league here, and he played basketball. He went to East High School, graduated and joined the Atlanta Police Department because he didn't have any college, and at the time he couldn't come on in our police department. And he wanted to transition and come here, but he has a family there and is doing fine. But he encountered an individual that was on the street with a rifle that was firing at people in the city of Atlanta. And as he confronted this person, the person shot him, and the rifle round grazed his forehead. And had it been just a little bit over, he wouldn't be here today. Well, he just got promoted to sergeant not that long ago, and I went down to Atlanta just to pin the badge on him. Now, he didn't ask his dad, his mom, all these people to pin it. It was me. And I had the honor to go down and pin him, and they talked about it on the news in Atlanta. But that is a huge moment, and you can see the pride in their faces. We have people that come from all over the country that want to be a part of a police department. We like to make sure people know their value, and I got that really years ago, and I'll tell you a story before I wrap up and take questions. But I remember I was just an officer. It was 2004. I had a mass taken out of my leg at the Summit Hospital. The doctors were talking about cancer and different forms of chemotherapy and all this, and I remember just going home and crying, and you know, in front of people you put on the face, smile at them, trying to be, hey, I'm good, don't worry about me, and all this stuff. And I had a sergeant call me, and you always want to hear from your frontline supervisor. And he called me, and he didn't ask how I was doing, what's going on in my life. He just said, hey, the calendar's short, and people can't take a vacation until you come back to work. When are you coming back to work? Yeah. And I remember hanging up the phone, and it was literally just hurt. And I said it, and that's when I decided I wanted to go into supervision. And so I started testing and started going up through the ranks, and every step of the way I've been able to show the men and women that I care about them and value them. I've had people, I've called them, had officers, one in particular, his father-in-law got killed over by Opry Mills, hit by a driver, a vehicle. And I called him, and he started crying. And I thought he was crying because of his father-in-law. But he started crying. He said, you know, I'm not crying because of the incident. I've been crying for that too. He said, I'm crying because you took the time to call me just to check on me. And I never say, when are you coming back to work? I never want to know any of that kind of stuff. I want to know, how are you? How's your family? What can we do to help you? We had an officer that was shot, same thing. He stays in touch with me today. Donovan Cole shot over over by the airport. Still, him and his wife, talk to him, not all the time, but we talk. We had a recruit that just became a police officer. He graduated a couple of weeks ago. And his grandfather was there. And grandfather was in the restroom, fell, hit his head. He didn't want to go to the doctor. He didn't want to get treated. Well, he wound up overnight passing away, died. And I called that officer and I talked to him, and it was such a touching moment because he said his grandfather didn't know, how long he was going to be in this world or whatever, but he wanted to see him graduate. And he was so happy that he got to see his son graduate, and then that happened. But he was so happy and so thankful that I called. And I just feel like, how often do you at the top of an organization call the people that get the work done for you each and every day? And I just feel it's important because I remember how I felt when I was up for all these commendations and Officer of the Month and all these awards and all these things. And the first call I got was, hey, when are you coming back? Just want to make sure people are valued. So this is technology. You hear the big debate in council and all these things, and I just want to clear it up. This is our Community Safety Center. We built this last year. It's operational, but inside we have analysts, we have officers. They look at streams that's mostly downtown and other areas of town. We also have a CAD where we can look at calls for service that are going on. So if there's a call that's being dispatched, it's on here, and officers are looking at the same thing. So as what we're trying to do in the Community Safety Center, if we can get license plate readers, the plate would be red, you can see at the bottom left, then it would be verified in the Community Safety Center by someone similar to, like, I won't use the term, like a pit boss or supervisor, someone that's standing there to verify it. You can't pull that person over unless it's verified. Two, if it has to be a crime that's like stolen vehicle, robbery, homicide, or what if one of our family members is missing? They have Alzheimer's, they're driving around, and we want to get them back home. We can enter that into the license plate reader and get them back. I had one of my old football coaches from high school played for Vince Lombardi and the Packers, and so he was on the first Super Bowl team and they won. Lives out in the Hermitage area. Walked away one day. Walked away, CTE, just walking, and for 2 days he's gone, and finally he shows back up. Wouldn't it be good if we have some type of technology to be able to find that person? We don't want to profile people. That's not what that does. That's not what we do as a police department. We're not trying to do immigration. If you commit a criminal act and the federal government wants to deport you, that's fine. But we want to put, the reason why I say that is, we want people to report crime. If we have someone that's the victim of a robbery or a rape or something, and that they may get deported, they're not going to report that crime. So we want people to report, and the federal government can do what they do. Fusus is the video technology that we talked about, just video integration. We're not trying to spy on people, we're just trying to stop crimes as they occur. We had council members say that we wanted to arrest someone, banned if they dress like a woman, and that's no truth to that. And I told people, I could put on a dress and heels, and I may not look pretty, but it's not against the law for me to do that. So I'm not going to do it, by the way. I know somebody was going to ask that. But all these things, if we had, with the way we've driven down crime in Nashville, if we had these tools, if we had the ability to do that, our crime would be so much lower. Because the driver of crime is stolen motor vehicles. If we can stop them, say it's mostly kids, and what's happening with these juvenile kids, they get arrested, it's a property crime, a couple of days they get released, over and over and over and over, this happens. But what if we catch them in a stolen car, and what if we look at an alternative method, and I just put out a community safety plan, what if we not do probation officers? Some kids need them, some of them need them, they're just bad. What if we assign them mentors as they exited the juvenile system like I had? I had mentors, not college, but high school coaches, etc. And assign them mentors that help them, give them hope, and see them a different way. We may cut down on robberies, homicides, and give kids hope. And we bring people in from the community that's going to help these young individuals. So that's pretty much it. I want to show you this video, if you can. This is
go out knowing that
This was
you may
25 days into my tenure. This is
save
what they
someone
wanted.
else's life at the cost of yours.
Law enforcement racing to Covenant School, 5 officers enter and hear gunshots coming from the second floor.
Whether we are on duty, whether we are off duty, whether we have family at home, we leave all of that behind to run towards where the danger is.
Caitlin was found shot to death in her car on the side of I-440.
We put our hand on a badge, put our hand on a Bible, and swore to an oath that we'd lay our lives down.
You just have to imagine how heartbreaking this is.
We put this uniform on. I am saying that everybody else in the city of Nashville, life is more important than mine.
That to me is the definition of a hero.
I hear another shot. You did? I hear more shots. Just please remember. They're coming. They're coming.
When the call originally went out, all of our hearts stopped. I ended up sending a text to my wife when I was making a turn almost to the school and just told her, hey, there's an incident occurring.
The shooter did make her way to the second floor up a staircase.
We ended up going inside, things transpired, and then afterwards is when I really learned about our community. The individual that caused all this, I think their intentions were to cause a rift and cause as much destruction as they could. That individual didn't get to do what they wanted to do. For such a tragic incident to have occurred in our community, something beautiful came from it, and it's all these additional relationships, this family that I didn't know that I have now. We're not gonna let this evil or this hate overtake it and paint the narrative that they want. We're gonna paint our own narrative.
26-year-old nurse Caitlin Kaufman was killed on the interstate last December. She was on 440, driving to work at the ICU at St. Thomas West Hospital when she was gunned down.
I remember it was raining, it was later in the night. There was a female who was found deceased, shot at least one time in her vehicle.
It's safe to say there are likely dozens more people who could possibly help break the case of who killed Caitlin.
SID came together, Crime Lab came together, Patrol came together, other units all came together and said, we're gonna work this as one. At some point though, the investigation started to slow down. It came to a standstill, and then the community rallied. We had over 100 crime operatives come in. A significant reward was put up in this case. There was one individual in particular, Mr. Jocelyn, got everyone together in the community to put up this money, and he put up the amount of money that actually is what prompted the individual to come forward with the next most crucial piece of evidence. It was not only the money, but it was just when he saw Ms. Kaufman's interview.
All I'm asking is that the Nashville community that she loved so much come together and help us find who did this to my daughter.
He said he saw it on the news, and he just wanted to do the right thing. This individual had the murder weapon, and then he was able to tell us who gave it to him. Less than 24 hours later, we had our first suspect in custody. The community was instrumental in this. I would not have been able to solve it without the community.
Building trust with the community that we serve is very important. We have officers that are building relationship and try to bridge the gap between the community and law enforcement. When I work with vice officers and FBI agents on human trafficking cases that were happening in Nashville, it was very important for me as a number one immigrant and Latino female to be able to assist these women, because the very first thing that they see when somebody is trying to rescue them out of slavery is like these police officers that are 6'3", 6'5", they're really big people, they're male, and there's that trust that has been broken from all these other male that put these women in that situation. We believe that the community is our eyes and ears. They're the ones that know what's going on in their community. And just being able to build that trust so that they can call us whenever they need us, it's big.
I don't know what the address is. I work at Circle Horn Business Center, and it was close to the AT&T building. There was a big explosion.
I just see orange
and then I hear a loud boom, and as I'm stumbling, 'cause it rocked me that hard and started stumbling, I just tell myself to stay on your feet, stay alive.
Got a phone call from Officer Llewellyn saying that he had heard warnings coming from his mobile home. Got over there, heard the warnings about the bomb, and then the timer started. Broke off from everybody else, went to my patrol car, and I got my heavy plates, which is what we wear for when we feel we're gonna be engaged by gunfire. Walking back toward the other officers, getting to the intersection, clearly hear a guy tell me to turn around, so I pause for a second, and when I turn around, I walk away, a few seconds later, the bomb went off. Ran toward my partner. She saw me walking toward her, and then she saw a ball of orange, and then she no longer saw me. She was shocked that I was still alive because she felt like I died. Once I got by myself, all of the what could'ves started to hit me. All the emotions from the possibility of passing away, and my kids losing their father, my wife losing her husband. But when we responded to it, the only thing I was thinking about was getting those people out of the building. A hero is somebody who shows up regardless of what people may say about them, what they may think about them, and putting their lives on the line for them.
We are the ones that always run towards the issue when everybody else is trying to run away from it.
We're gonna do everything we can, because this is what we do.
We're not letting hate win.
Yeah, I thought that was just important to show you that's how we feel about our community. We love you all, and we'll put our lives on the line for each and every one of you. That's what we train for, and we know that could happen any day. Any day we walk out, we may not come back. But we value our community, and we want to make sure, as Officer Wells said, no one else's life is more important than yours at that minute. And so we feel better after we've done what we've done, and we're all okay, that you're okay too. But we're gonna go in, and after Uvalde, I had said in the media that if we ever had that type of situation, we would go in, and we did. We had Antioch, and we did go in. If there's ever anything we can do as a police department, we'll be here for you, and we're invested and dedicated to serving you. So thank you. And
anybody have a couple questions?
In today's, okay, so one of the things I hear you say is that you want to have good community relations, because community relations are what allow you to solve crime. In the current political environment, there are political forces that want you to enforce laws that would violate that sense of trust. So how can we, when we have conversations with people that want, I'll just be frank, immigration, want you to enforce immigration laws that are federal responsibilities and violate your ability to have good communications with the public so that you can actually solve crimes and keep the numbers going down? How do we help some of our friends understand that issue?
yeah, I mean, that's a great question, and that's something that's been a big debate here in Nashville, around the state and throughout the country. As I said earlier, if someone's committing a crime, we want to do something with those people. We want to arrest those. But we do not want to be in the immigration business. And I think the best way is to talk to the state representatives to make sure they know that you don't want that. We don't want that as a police department. As I said, if we have a 15-year-old that gets raped and she wants to report that, or we have an individual that gets robbed and they want to report that, but they're worried about getting deported, then we're not gonna be very effective as a police department, and then we're gonna be less safe as a city because people are getting away with crimes. And so I think sometimes you have to be vocal with some of these members. I've said that with members of council. I said in a meeting once with a council member, it was with the Curtis community, and this council person said, hey, you guys want to profile black and brown people with license plate readers? I said, absolutely not. But the members within the room, like, we want them. So sometimes, whether they're on council or state representatives, they have an agenda that's not what their constituents want sometimes. And I think sometimes you need to make them aware that they're working for you, and give them calls, send them emails, and do whatever, but make sure that you voice your opinion. I think that would help us tremendously. So thank you for that question.
Are there any cities like ours that have traffic resource officers? It seems like you guys have to spend way too much time on, car wrecks on Woodmont, but you may be there for an hour and a half, sorting it out. That just seems like such a waste. Is that a thing or not?
That's a great question, and that's something we've looked at over time, and hopefully we can get to that, having people from the civilian world doing traffic crashes for us. We looked at bringing back retired police officers working 2 or 3 days a week to take crash reports, and then that would free our men and women up to work. We do core reporting, online reporting. So if you're involved in a traffic crash and you don't want to wait for an officer without hope, if it's minor, you can just exchange information, go online and do that. That's helped us tremendously, free up officers. But there's some people that just won't do that. They want an officer, and they'll say, I'll sit here 2-3 hours. And it's just, hopefully we'll get there one day where we have part-time, but we're all working.
Well, thanks for all you do, and thanks for keeping us safe. We really appreciate it more than you know.
Thank you. That means a lot. Thank you.
We live in Berry Hill. We see Berry Hill police cars. How many separate police departments are in Davidson County, and how do y'all work together?
We work together quite frequently, all the time. I'm friends with Tim Coleman, who's the chief in Berry Hill. We have Berry Hill, we have Belle Meade that are inside of Davidson County. I don't know of any others. We have the exterior, which is Mount Juliet, Rutherford County, all these places. But we all work well together, communicate. We have meetings together, talk about crime and issues. So it's really good.
That's a very important question. I would hold up the Charlotte Metro Station as a prime example of how communities can collaborate. I'm on the safety committee for Westmead, and that group of officers over there are phenomenal. We have a volunteer group from our community in Westmead. We do a little celebration every year. They respond. They're very, very, very helpful. It's pretty amazing how these collaborative relationships can make your community stronger. And you're speaking to really wonderful topic.
Great. Thank you. Totally agree. So, yes, ma'am.
I'm curious if you all have any insight of what's happening with Nashville traffic. I just noticed, especially this last year, you see drivers like driving in the middle lane, driving on the shoulder, using the left turn lane to get over. Is there any indicators? Is it just like people aren't taking driving? I mean, I don't know. That's my spin. That's my joking. Like, I don't know.
Everybody's like, yeah, I know what you said.
Are there any indicators of what has happened to Nashville? Is it just like the influx? I'm just curious if you all have any indicators of what's happening in Nashville with the traffic. And I know we can't just say it's all people moving here from fill in the blank region. And then also, my husband Max Scruggs said it today.
Oh, okay, yeah. Tell them I said hi. I remember Max. Yeah. Tell my dog karate. So yeah, good. So there's a mix of all of that that's going on. People that are moving here, people that are aggressive, people that don't worry about paying a fine, get their license revoked, all those things. And it's just we've done more traffic enforcement. But I think since 2020, since COVID, we've seen a shift in anger, shift in people wanting to get places faster, being impatient. And I had a state representative that was telling me something, and it just kind of hit home with me. I hadn't thought about it. And he said he saw someone going to McDonald's, and they got a Big Mac, and they didn't want the McDonald's sauce, they wanted mustard. Well, they put the McDonald's sauce and didn't do the mustard. And they came in and they threw the sandwich on the floor, and they started hopping up and down on it, and mad. When it used to be, people go in and say, you got my order wrong, can you fix this? Now it's just this total extreme. And so I think we're slowly getting back. It's just gonna take a minute, but people are angry, they're frustrated, impatient. There's a lot of things that are going on, so, yeah.
That's very, very true.
I've got one last one. License plate readers. Is it still the case that every single county around us have them?
Absolutely. Every county has them, and it's really effective. In fact, Mount Gilead brags about all the people they arrest from Nashville that are coming out and stolen. They do all the time. But I try to tell people that license plate readers don't adversely impact people. And so anywhere you go, if you leave Davidson County, you hit a license plate reader and you don't know it.
We have it in Forest Hills.
Yeah. They'll need Forest Hills. And it's okay, right? I mean, it's, you know, as long as you're not in a stolen car, it might be good, you know, you grabbed the wrong car one day. Yeah, good question. Thank you.
I think what people are concerned about with license plate readers is that we're moving very rapidly to a very police state. A lot of surveillance, talking about drones, license plate readers, we got cameras everywhere. I think we need to go back to pen and paper, quite frankly. And get back to human interaction. I think that's what we need more than we need more computers and drones flying around in the sky. Because I'm old enough to remember Terminator, and I'm sure everybody else here does too.
4 years away, 4 years away from it came back, it's still here.
Version of AI, yes, you say, hey, we're gonna do the right thing, we're gonna do the right thing, but you are gonna do the right thing.
Yeah.
Or to give that power to somebody else that's not, you wouldn't know.
I really believe in what we do, and I believe in the interaction, and that's the second core pillar is community engagement, engaging people, getting to know them, and doing the right thing. I always say have integrity, doing the right thing for the right reasons when you do the job. The only way we're gonna be able to be effective in stopping crime is to be able to precisely identify those that are committing those crimes. Otherwise, say if we have an area that has a bunch of robberies,